Hey guys, what's going on? Marat here over at the Lending Group, and today I wanted to spend a little bit of time going over the 4 challenges that buyers and sellers are facing and dispel some of the notions out there and some of the fallacies out there that may be holding you as a buyer or you as a seller from entering the real estate market. So number one, and this is really geared towards the sellers, the reluctance to give up a low rate and move up to a bigger or better house if that's what your family is requiring. Number 2, waiting for the rates to come down. That usually affects buyers more, but if you're a seller and you're looking to move up, it can be a challenge for you as well. Number 3, and this is a big one, and we have a lot of talking heads out there, kind of pointing to this gloom and doom in the real estate market, and that's waiting for prices to come down. This is a big one, and I want to dispel some theories that are out there in a few. Some people are waiting for both prices to come down and as well as the rates to come down. And then, as we all know, real estate is very, very local, and in many cases, neighborhood to neighborhood, micro neighborhood to micro neighborhood. And so there are a lot of pockets in the country that has very low inventory, and there's still bidding wars out there. And therefore, the hesitancy for buyers to overpay or bid over list price. So those are the four challenges. Again, just a quick recap: reluctance to give up the low rate, waiting for home prices to come down, waiting for the rates to come down, and the hesitancy to pay over list. So I want to address one at a time, okay? So if we talk about the first one, and that is the challenge of not giving up your low rate. Currently, the national average is that every home has roughly $274,000 in equity. So we all know that there's been a significant improvement in the real estate market over the last 4 or 5 years through COVID. And if you've owned your property during that time, your property appreciated, and most likely you have around $274,000 in home equity. Now, at the same time, there is roughly 95 to slightly higher thousand in debt, right? In household debt, revolving debt, your credit cards, car loans, car loan debt, maybe store credit debt, furniture you may have purchased, etc. So there's $96,000 in debt, and we've seen the reports out there. The current debt continues to rise in the country, right? Also, keep in mind that since 1971, since 1971, the average rate in the country has been about 7 3/4. And finally, property taxes continue to go up. So, what can we do with that information? You want to be armed with facts. What can we do with that information? Number one, what we could do with that information is think about, if you were to sell your home right now and you took the $274,000 in equity and you paid down your credit card or revolving debt, that's probably at 20 or 22 or 23%, and you may not be even noticing these things because you're so set on auto pay. You paid that down, and you use the remainder of your equity to maybe move up and put 20% down on the next home, right? Yes, maybe the rate on the new home is going to be higher, your payment is going to be higher, but you have to account the total monthly expense for your house, right? So do the math. Create an Excel spreadsheet, write down what you've spent and every month, and then write down what you would spend if you made a move up in the house, right? So that's very important. And I think that that's something that every household should consider, especially if you're in a situation where you may want to move up, or maybe get into a little bit of a bigger house, okay? Now, the second and one of the biggest challenges for buyers is waiting for the rates to come down. I've been hearing this for over a year. I'm going to wait for rates to come down. And guess what? The rates haven't come down, number one. Number two, the price of a home continues to appreciate, right? So in today's market, the average price of a house is about $416,000, right? And I've done this math, and I've done this, I've talked about this in the past. But the home appreciation is expected to, year-over-year home appreciation is expected to be 5 to 6% for the next year. So if we take an average house of $416,000 with just call it 5.8% in appreciation, over a 12-month period, you will gain $23,200 in equity, and you start building wealth, right? And we all know that real estate is one of the biggest factors when we talk about wealth, right? So I think 90% of the millionaires out there in the country today, their biggest bucket is real estate, right? That's where most of the wealth comes from. So let's say the rates do come down. Let's say you're right, you can time the market, and let's say the rates come down 1 percentage point. 1 percentage point on $400,000 is $250 a month, okay? So over a course of a year period, you're going to gain $3,000, right? From today's rate. But if the house appreciates $23,000 in that same year, in essence, you've lost $20,000 in equity. So it's very important to take a step back and look at the overall picture. You're not buying a house for one day. You're not buying a house for one year. You're buying a home for 5 to 7 years. And that's important to take into consideration. So again, look at the math and speak to your agent, speak to your lender, and really analyze the numbers. All right, number 3. Again, this is another one. We all think about 2008, when we come to the real estate market, and that's because in many of our minds, it's still fresh. So we're waiting for the home prices to come down, right? We're waiting. We keep talking about bubble. There's people out there, writing articles, etc. I want to share a very, very definitive fact for you, right? Since 1942, home values have gone up 73 times and have gone down or declined only 7 times. And that includes 2008 through 2011. So we can't just go back, 15 years. We have to take the whole economy in a nutshell, or the real estate market in a nutshell, since we began tracking. So, 73 to 7, it's a huge factor, right? Now, another huge factor is the inventory levels are down 40% since 2019. So pre-COVID numbers, the inventory of homes available for sale are down 40%. That's another huge factor, right? We all, remember our Econ 101 class, right? Or just like basic economics. A price of a product is a factor of supply and demand. And so if the supply shrinks and it continues to shrink year over year and demand stays the same, or even if it, flattens a little, home prices will most likely either improve, and that's why there's a 5.8 number that I was using in the previous example of appreciation, or at the very minimum, they'll stay the same. And another factor that we have to take into consideration is there are about 72 million millennials entering the real estate market over the next couple of years. 67% of those, based on the U.S. News, are going to purchase a home. So that is a huge number of people looking to purchase homes over the next several years. So the demand for housing will sustain. We also have other geopolitical things to consider. We have an influx of individuals coming into the country, and all of these people are looking for housing. Okay, so I wouldn't bet against the champ, right? The real estate market is up 73 times over the course of the last 70, 80 years or something like that, and only down 7 times, right? Number 4, the hesitancy to pay over ask. I hear this a lot. I see this with clients. We're looking to purchase a house. It is in a good neighborhood, specifically with good school district, and there are still multiple offers. There's still properties that are going over ask in those pockets of the country that where the demand continues to be strong, right? Again, the average home price is going to appreciate 5.8, 5 to 6% over the course of the next year. Take that into consideration. If you compound that over the next couple of years, whatever you're paying over the list price, that is just the price for that home, right? So if you have multiple people betting on a home or trying to win that home, and the price of the home is above the list price, then that's just the new price of the home, okay? And again, try to take the emotions out of it. I know it's hard. I know, this is could be a forever home or something like that, or it could be your first home in many cases. Try to take the emotions out of it. Continue thinking about the math portion of it only, and think about a 7 to 10 year outlook, right? So even if you're paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over ask on a house, if that house appreciates $20,000, $30,000 a year, you'll catch up pretty quickly. But most importantly, it's just the price, right? So those are some of the things that we need to address and we need to think about. And then we want to talk about some of the things that we can control. So number one, if you're a buyer or if you're a seller, you need to understand that the current situation, it's not your fault, right? And there's certain things that you can control and certain things you can't. And just concentrate on the things that you can control. Set your budget, right? If you're an agent, talk to your clients about setting the budget. Go over these numbers with your client, okay? Things you can't control are the job numbers, the inflation numbers, right? The home prices, the inventory, the interest rate, what the Federal Reserve will do. None of those things that we can control as individuals, correct? So please, it's going to be okay either way. Don't worry. Take the emotions out of it. Do the math, right? Sit down with your family, sit down with your agent, sit down with your client, do the math, do the numbers, and continue to analyze the data that you have. Don't listen to the just excerpts from outlets and make your decisions based on that. Again, the biggest thing I wanted to reiterate before I end this is number one, the real estate market has been up 73 times since 1942, only down 7. Home appreciation continues and is projected to be around 5 to 6% year over year. And so it is now the time, if there is a little bit of an opportunity, I think now is the time for you to review the numbers and really, really look into purchasing a home, whether it's your forever home or a move-up home or investment property, because you can always take advantage of low rates in the future by refinancing. Guys, hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at meetwithmarat.com, and I look forward to talking to you. Take care.